Hello everyone and welcome to the 1000th video on the YouTube channel!
You did it!
Skari, the God King of the Dark Elder! Hello everyone, I'm Skari, your grateful host, and this is Just Put Paint on It, your every Thursday and Friday show, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we hang out and we put paint on things sometimes. It's me,
I'm
your
assembling
host.
Today, though.
Oh, very cool. You're putting glue on it. Me, your grateful host, wonderful co-hosts, and even more amazing guests that we bring onto the show. So, yeah, that's what we do. This is Season 3, Episode 14. I hope you sit back, enjoy. Today we're going to be learning more about how to be a hipster in Warhammer and how to do war the hipster way. And how to paint things and all the good stuff, which is great. Looking forward to this chat. But before we get started, I'm painting some 3D printed monsters from a company, and I'm going to be using them as grotesques. That's what I use these as because they look big and mean, and they're about the same size and almost designed to be grotesques. So I'm going to use them for that. Other than that, Tanya Gates, the War Mistress, tell us a little about who you are, where they can find you, and what are you working on today?
Well, I'm the War Mistress. I'm from Canada, and I play games, and I paint stuff, and you can find me mostly on Instagram and YouTube these days, but you can also find me on Forge the Narrative podcast, and I'm building Bladegeist Revenants, because I think they're going to be... No, you have to go, woo!
Oh, yeah, sorry, I got that
wrong. Yes.
Ghosts.
I think they're going to be good in the new book, so...
Nice.
I'm going to build them. Yep.
That's exciting. And where can people find you? Oh, you already said that.
I already did that.
Yeah, no,
I'm a professional.
I'm paying attention, okay? I'm totally paying attention this Friday. I'm trying to be professional. But introducing our wonderful guest for today. The War Hipster himself. Mr. Hill, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How about you're all right, aren't you? How are you doing?
Fantastic. So why don't you tell everyone who's watching who you are, where you're from, and how folks can find you, and a little bit about yourself. And also, what are you working on today?
So, my name is Josh, otherwise known as the War Hipster in various internet circles. I paint mostly Warhammer, actually. I think it's been entirely Warhammer so far, apart from one 3D printed dwarven dais from a awesome terrain company called Dark Fantastic Mills. That's all I've done for that wasn't Games Workshop based for various things. I make painting tutorials and general hobby content for YouTube and Instagram, where you can find me as just looking me up as Warhipster, WARHIPSTER. You can find a lot of stuff on YouTube and Instagram, and I work primarily with
see what you did there.
with contrast paint in a style I call Contrast Plus.
Very cool.
Which is just essentially using contrast paint as for everything and anything, and just seeing if it actually works and proving that it can, because many moons ago when the paint first came out, I got it into my hands and I was like, this stuff is liquid gold, and painted, I think it was a Blood Angels Terminator captain with it, and I was like, this is it, I'm never going back. And then I went on the internet, which is often a disastrous thing to do.
I was going to say, you brave soul.
It's like you're asking for trouble at that point.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I went on the internet and I saw nothing but negativity around the paint, and I was like, well, this can't be true, because I've just used it and I've done this. And so I posted a picture of it on Reddit, another mistake, but I did this with contrast paints. And the Reddit community went, no, you didn't. I said, yes.
Hey,
yes,
that's nicer than what they usually say.
Exactly, right? They said, no, you didn't. And I said, yes, I did. And they were like, prove it. And I was like, all right then. so I started a YouTube channel. And
Out of spite, yes.
yeah,
Usually a lot of
no,
the
it
best
genuinely
projects in
was.
the world happen because of spite. I will
Yeah.
say that right now. It's like, oh,
I'm
Genuinely,
fueled
you
by
it was.
like
can't do it
80%
then, eh?
spite.
I'll show you.
80% spite, 20% coffee.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much the mixture. Yeah, no,
Well,
it was just I think this stuff is amazing, and I think everybody else should be using it. So I did that, and I've been doing it for pretty much since it came out. So when was that? 3 years ago?
oh my God, was it 3 years ago
Was it
already?
already? Yeah, it must
I
have
Oh,
been
think it
like
might be.
must have been like really just before COVID, right? Like before the pandemic really hit.
Yeah, because it was what
Yeah.
was it? So ninth edition was released in the first year of the pandemic, and then AOS 3 was released last year. So yeah, it would have been. It's coming up on 3 years in July
That
because it
is
was the summer release,
sort of crazy
which
to
is
think about. You know what I mean? Like when
yeah,
you think about it, it's kind of crazy how time flies, eh? You know? So
right.
how did you get started in the hobby? Like, you know, like just in general, are you mainly a painter? Do you also enjoy like playing the game do you play other games? Is it exclusive to just the hobby style aspect of the hobby?
Well, I started. How old am I? 31. 25 years ago.
Yep.
Um, so I was a wee little bambino when I started, and it was just because um, I was my mum bought me a copy of White Dwarf that had a free metal Necron,
Nice.
ooh.
and I wanted the free metal Necron. I wanted the robot. So that was where it started, and then I discovered later on, from that point on, that you actually had stuff to do with those little metal robots,
Nice.
um, such as painting and playing. And I've been doing all aspects of the hobby, on and off. It would be dishonest of me to say that I've painted models every day for the last 25 years, but I've been doing it for a very long time, and I used to be. It used to be that the end goal of it always was to play, but as time has gone on,
Mm-hmm.
and actually YouTube, to be fair, uh, kind of liberated this for me, because just painting models to play with would have meant that there would be over 300 videos of how to paint blood angels on my channel,
Right.
which
Yeah.
doesn't mean that there aren't like 50. I think there's 15 blood angels videos on there, which
You
is
gotta
quite
lean into
funny.
what you know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But actually doing the channel was a case of I would always kind of sit from afar and look at awesome models as they came out and just be like, I really wish I could paint that, but I have no reason to get it and no army to put it in. And then I realized that actually I'd grown to a point in my life where the idea of doing a pickup game of Warhammer actually just makes my skin crawl. Um, you know what I mean? Like, just like, oh, do you want to just go down to the local club or somewhere that you've never been before? Because I've moved around a lot as well.
Yeah.
Go somewhere you've never been before and play an absolute stranger at Warhammer. And I'm like, I know that if I organise that beforehand, that the conversation will be a case of, do you want to play a game of 40k? Yeah, let's do that. What are you going to bring? Oh, I'll bring insert army here. Well,
Army
blood
here.
angels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring my blood angels, and they'll be like, cool. And then they'll bring something that kicks me roundly in the face, and then I go home, and I go, that was fun.
Oh, yeah. Pickup games are a bit hard sometimes, depending on your sort of local meta.
Yeah. And that's what I used to do. That I used to be obsessed with doing. I used to like go to my local games workshop and stuff and just play on games night, and it would be like, who wants a game? I'll play you. And it'd be like, oh god. First starting out in in fact my return to 7th edition, I took down some ultramarines to a local club, and I got kicked in the face by a triptide list. And I was like, "Is this what Warhammer is now? Because this wasn't what it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When I was very much younger. So, yeah, these days the roundabout way of saying is I love playing the game, but I realize now that it's mostly about painting and stuff, and that has meant that because I have a YouTube channel, it means that I have an excuse to buy models that I won't ever play with. So in my cabinet down here, for example, there's Kragnos and there's Marathi and there's
Marathi's
all
such a
kinds
nice
of
model.
things. She's
You're
beautiful. I love that model.
speaking Skari's language now.
Oh, I love the snakes. The Marathi and the snakes. Like, not only is the model cool, I do like playing with them as well. There's a bat report going to be coming up next week with them too, which is awesome. Or is it?
Is that
Yeah,
the one
next
with
week.
Lionel? Or
Yeah, I played Lionel.
yeah.
He played
Okay,
like
so I have to watch it.
100 plague bearers, and like,
Ugh.
it was like watching paint dry. Like,
Oh,
it's just like,
man.
no, it wasn't like, it was a very, very intense game, but it's like very
Yeah.
much like his army plays like a little boa constrictor, like slowly suffocating you. That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. That, like, and it's so true. To be honest, the pandemic is what really got me into painting on a consistent basis. Because as a player of Warhammer, I'm 35. That's right. And I've been playing since I was 12 or 13. Like, I've been playing for a long time. And every time I would, like, because I never had any money, and I never really had any time. So my collection was what I could afford, or like every once in a while I'd get a new kit, and then you'd build it and paint it, and it would just be something that you could add to your army that then it would give you more options to take to game night, so that you could like play with your friends. And that's probably what most people, especially getting into the hobby, experience. You don't just buy any kit you want. You just go, ooh, I need a rhino, and you buy a rhino so that your tactical squad doesn't get shot up by your brother's Tau crisis suits, right? At least it gives them like a little bit of shelter, okay? Or you go and get, ooh, I'm gonna get my jump pack captain built and painted up, so the next time we play I have my super secret project that I can unleash on you or whatever. And it's like a really fun cat and mouse project when you're playing within like a small community of players. And then during the and so every time I would go to a tournament, because I'm a big tournament goer, I would build my army list, and then I'd set up, like I'd go, ooh, this is a cool concept. I'd put up the army and I'd set it up, and then I'd look at it and go, okay, I need to paint 3 models for this army so that I can actually have the options, or weapons, or whatever. I need to touch up this base or this model because it's broken, because I travel with it all the time. And so then you'd spend like the week before the tournament frantically trying to get everything finished that you needed to take because you wanted to try and compete, right? And you just need to get it painted so that you could play with it, right? And that's that was the motivation that I had for painting pretty much anything, right? Which is a good motivator until a pandemic comes around and there are 0 events to play.
Yes.
And there's no sort of like intrinsic motivation / deadline that you have to hit, because deadlines and that procrastination monkey like only goes away when there's like, the like ultimate doom of a deadline that's gonna like, pull you apart. That, by the way, there's a fantastic TED Talk. If anybody hasn't watched this TED Talk on procrastination and like the mental process of procrastination and how humans are capable of incredible feats when the deadline is upon you. I cannot remember the last time I cannot remember a time I did not write a university essay the night before it was due.
No, I'm saying.
And
I'm like the complete opposite.
And literally write like 60 pages of annotated like discussion paper about whatever topic it was in like a sitting. Like literally sit down and just type out 40 to 60 pages worth of stuff for like a university paper in like an overnighter. And when you look at it,
I have anxiety just thinking about it.
When you look at it, or when you think about it, that's like not well, first of all, it doesn't seem healthy, which it isn't. But
It's
secondly,
not.
it's like it's like almost superhuman in that sense. But you're only able to do that sort of stuff when it's like if you don't do it, it's like a life or death situation, if that makes sense. And then all of a sudden, like your survival instinct kicks in, and you just get it done. And so that's how it was with me for painting. And then the pandemic came around, and I had a whole bunch of boxes in what we call our pile of potential, because there's no pile of shame; it's pile of potential. That's how we like to. That's what we have coined it around these parts. Okay, and it was the pile of potential that I was like, ooh, I would like to, and I ended up painting like the entire Blackstone Fortress set for like one of the local game stores. He was like, I was like, can I just paint these models? Because they're all individual models. They're all really different, and I just want to paint like something that is to play a game, but I don't, So I painted that. Then I painted like an entire realm of battle, the plastic Cities of Death board, the like squares or whatever the Games Workshop sells, and that was like a project. I painted a Titan, and then I was like, I'm gonna start getting all the Blackstone Fortress like kits, and I got like the Zote and the Amble, and like then I painted, I don't know, some Adeptus Titanicus because I want to paint like a little Warhound Titan, and like I ended up starting to paint for the sake of painting something cool. And since then I feel like my painting has like evolved. So that's really cool. I like that. That's really neat. That you kind of like are like, ooh, I just want to paint Be'lakor, or I just want to paint Marathi. It's neat.
Yeah, I mean, Be'lakor was a classic example of that, and one of those things of like that just spawned a ridiculous project out of it.
Yeah.
Because when that Be'lakor model was announced, I was enthralled by the fact Garda Steelsoul was getting a model, because he is my second favorite character of all times in Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, and there's Be'lakor as well, and I was like, oh, this guy's got a glow up. This is serious, right?
Yeah.
So I picked up the model, and I was like, people are gonna want to see how I do this with contrast paint, for sure they are. So I picked up Be'lakor, and then painting it was such a dreamy experience that I was like, okay, one of the things I have needed for a long time is I need to bring balance to Warhipster's forces. It can't just be all Imperium forever and ever. I need to have Chaos. I need to have a Xenos force. I need to do this, because if I'm gonna ever get to the point where I want to play, battle reports on my channel, I don't want to ever have to. For me, I don't like the idea of saying, "Hey man, do you want to come down for a battle?" And they go, "Yeah," and I go, "What do you want to bring?" And they go, "Blood Angels," and I go, "Great, we're going to play Blood Angels versus Blood Angels." Because that just doesn't fit my head canon at all. So what I want is for people to be able to say, I'd love to come down for a game, and me go, cool, what do you want to bring? And they'll tell me what they want to use, and then I've got something that can, realistically play against it, and it's not like a mirror match, or it's not like, for lack of a better word, I know people will crucify me for saying this, the good guys versus the good guys. Like, it's not. It's like you can do Stormcast versus Stormcast, but it's not very satisfying. And you can say it's they're fighting in the Gladiatrix or whatever it's called. They have that huge Thunderdome in Azir where they do that, but that's not fun for anybody. So I was like, I'm going to do a Demon's Army now, because they look like they're going to be pretty cool for contrast. Yeah. And as a consequence of Be'lakor, I was like, do you know what? There is nobody else on YouTube that has a painting tutorial for all 4 greater demons.
Oh,
nice.
There is not one single other person who has done that. In fact, when I looked up the Keeper of Secrets, there was no painting tutorials that I could find for the Keeper of Secrets, or at least any that tried to go anywhere near the box art. So I was like, I'm going to be the first one to do this. This is literally this is ridiculous. So I was like, I'm going to do Be'lakor. I'm going to want to do the Keeper, the Lord of Change, the Bloodthirster, and the Great Unclean One. And then I can't just have four greater demons and the first prince of darkness. I can't just have that. I need to do things as well. So from looking at the Garda Steel Soul model, I ended up with 4,000 points of demons.
Nice.
Amazing.
Well, and then the demons now, of course, you can create some really cool narratives when you start doing some games and whatnot, which would be awesome. Now,
Exactly.
do you do content creation full time? Is this like what you do, or is this like a supplemental stuff that you do with like your day job?
I do it full time. It's I made the decision to do full-time content creation because I don't want to work for anybody anymore.
That's a good enough
great
reason if I ever heard one.
The best reason.
Thank you. I mean, I was like, this is the thing, right? I made the decision to do it because I felt confident that it would be something that I could do comfortably full time eventually. At the moment, that's not true. But it's a case of it will be worth it to be able to. Essentially, I kind of thought, like, if I move into doing this full time, I can commit to doing more of it. I can grow it quicker, which then means theoretically, the more people watching my videos, the more money from YouTube ad revenue that I make, and therefore the rent gets covered.
Right.
At the time when I made that decision, it was a case of, do I get another full-time job but not be able to still commit this amount of time, but to grow slower or hope for something to go viral, for example?
Yeah.
Or do I just lean into it full time? And so I did that. And I think the anniversary of that has passed. I think I've been doing it full time now for a year. And it worked. I mean, it has worked, but it hasn't worked. But it's given me enough motivation and it's given me enough kind of feedback back, as it were, that yes, it was the correct decision, and that it's only going to keep getting to that point of where it will be fully sustainable by itself. I view that as the time as when I can hire somebody will be the time when I feel like it's worked, when I can hire somebody to come on board and do work with me.
Yeah.
Because it's being a one-man band is
I don't know how you do all of that stuff as one person. I mean, I also have a job, so that's why I had to cut back everything but even so, like, I still have trouble like getting everything in during the week and still having a social life.
I don't have one of those.
Oh.
My social life is the thing that got sacrificed on the altar as the content gods. The only time I do, it's not entirely true. I do kind of get to, chat to people whilst making content. That's part of it. That's also, this is part of it. Like being able to head to tournaments as well, things like that. I can go there and learn more about what's going on in the world of Warhammer, so I can make videos about it. That so far hasn't happened because when I get to the tournament, I forget to film anything.
Yeah, I have an event that I'm going to next month, and I've sort of committed to making a vlog. I'm like, I've never done one of these before. Now I have to remember to actually film stuff.
It's so tough, isn't it? When
especially when you're in the middle of a game
so and
you're like talking to everybody, and then your phone stays in your pocket or your camera or whatever you're using to film, and then it's like, and I totally forgot that I needed to make a segment on this. Oh darn! I've been there, done that.
Yep. I should probably pick your brain about it, Skari.
Yeah.
How do I do a vlog?
Did you watch my one that I did with the witch cult? If you haven't,
I watched a little bit of it.
That's a good sort of template. Like it's like in terms of that template works really well for events, sort of like vlogs. like a date, like that sort of thing. I found that works.
But I
nicely,
feel like that one was more of a showcase of like a sort of quote stranger list and how well you did.
Yeah, but it's also like a breakdown of like each game and how it went, But anyway, so the aim of that is to, of course, do like, how did this list do at the event? Sure, but you could always sort of modify it to suit like your personal need, right? To what you want to do with it.
Just because I'm not like a good player, so I don't know if focusing so much on the gameplay aspect would be good.
Yeah, I'm just talking. You
Yeah.
look at the tempo, the pace of the video, where it's like,
Oh,
segment 1 introduction or this sort of thing, and then you could do it. I did it about the list itself, but you could literally go like do it about anything else, right? And then segment 2 being at the event, segment 3 breaking down what we saw, but like in terms of meeting people or whatever the focus is that you're gonna take from it, right?
Well, so it's a charity event, and the organizer was like, "Would you do a vlog?" And I was like, "Ugh, it's charity, fine." So I think maybe the focus of it should be like the event and what the event feels like, because apparently the event is not a super competitive one. Although, who knows? Depends who shows up, right?
In 9th edition. Come on now.
I'm playing Age of Sigmar.
Oh, okay. No, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's
Age of
only
Sigmar is a lot
1,000
of fun.
points. Yeah, it's only 1,000 points too, so I'm not sure how like sweaty you can get at 1,000 points.
Oh, people will break anything if they want to break it. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an issue with that at all. But
Yeah.
you can definitely make the focus on like the event or the charity or the people who show up to support the charity. You know what I mean? Like there's so many angles, I guess. Keys to just do something that you're passionate about, and then sort of like let the passion oozing passion, and then paint a great unclean one. Because it's all about the ooze.
No.
Going into the chat.
No.
Safe to say Blood Angels smashed me back in the day at BMC, says Ben Walker.
Yeah. No, I used to terrorize Bad Moon Cafe for sure.
Alexander says, that's me. I'm currently working on a client presentation due at 2 p.m. That's in 2.5 hours. And I started this morning, and I had 3 weeks to do it.
Oh.
You're like me, prankster. You're like me, prankster. An absolute joker. Love it. It's in the name, you see. Xanthiades. Teehee, Stormcast Thunderdome. Thunderdome! Welcome to the Stormcast. I didn't know that they had like a Thunderdome in the Stormcast thing. Also,
yeah, it's where they do all of their. I believe it's even kind of weirder in that they can like create magical holograms, as it were, of armies that they would theoretically face. It's where they do all of their training before they were unleashed on the mortal realms, and then whenever they get reforged, they get sent there to go and just make sure that everything's in working order, as it were.
Until they slowly lose their entire like personality and psyche.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happens to them once they like have like no semblance of who they once were?
They just kind of become like
automatons, like automata.
Yeah. So I think it's, if I'm thinking of the right person, someone might correct me. One example of it is Thostus Bladestorm, who during one of his deaths and reforgings, I think he gets hit by a pretty impressive bolt of change, to the point of where he becomes made of pure Sigmarite himself. So when he gets reforged, he is just the same. Like his body is made of the same material as his armor is made of. And as a consequence of that, the reforging was so painful that he loses quite a lot of who he is. But when he is in battle, he starts to remember parts of his personality. So he ends up becoming kind of more of a joyous person in battle. But outside of battle, it's just basically like, "You're right, Thostus." Silence. And it's just like, oh, okay. I think that's. I might have just merged two Lord Celestants together there, but that's. There's a lot of cool stuff in the Stormcast for sure. Like, they do lose a lot of who they once were, and that's one of the things that many of them are searching for an answer for. But yeah, they're, it affects them all differently. Like, I
I
think.
was just like, so he's a Terminator then? Sick. He's just made of metal. Awesome.
Well, he was then eaten by Dorgar of the Archaon fame. So unfortunately, Thostus is no more forever and ever. But
Oh, womp womp.
there's a lot of cool stuff in Age of Sigmar. I love
Age of Sigmar
so
lore
much.
is one of those things that I haven't really like gone into it too much since they blew up everything. Like it was sort of like I was invested in the old world lore, and
Yeah.
then they changed it
Tomb
to
Kings.
Age of Sigmar lore, and then I don't know, it just didn't vibe with. Oh, like I didn't, I was like, okay, realms and cool. There's gates and like there's like things you travel from realm to realm. It's like different dimensions sort of thing, right? Okay, sure, fair enough, makes sense. Sigmar, lightning warriors, cool, exciting. And then I listened. I think the first dive into Sigmar lore that I had was the audiobook of Gotrek that was voiced by Brian Blessed, right?
Yeah.
And that was like my first foray into like Age of Sigmar
Gotrek
lore.
was still old world.
Yeah, so Gotrek is old world, but he was stuck in this dimension fighting because one of the gods like
Thought he was
Archeon?
neat or something?
No, one of the gods like betrayed him because apparently like
Oh.
Gotrek's whole thing was that he wanted to die gloriously in battle, but he's sort of cursed where he's just so powerful he's cursed to never achieve that like glorious death in battle that he wants to achieve.
Womp womp.
The end, wasn't it? End of
Yeah, so
End Times, where he basically was it Grungni? No, what's the
I don't
dwarf
remember.
god
It's
of war?
one of the gods or whatever ended up being like he put him in a battle and was like it was supposed to be his like final battle, but for some reason he's like stuck in a time loop where he gets to like fight that battle I guess over and over again. I think is like
It's
the
Groundhog
curse or
Day.
whatever. And so he was stuck throughout everything that happened with the death of the old world and everything. Gotrek is it's the danger room. Gotrek was stuck in this sort of like time loop, but he wakes up, right? Or he basically is unleashed into the Age of Sigmar, which is when they released his new model and stuff, and they kind of put him into Age of Sigmar. So they kind of made this whole thing about it, and he ends up waking up in like a mountain lair of the fire slayers, like the dwarves, like the magma dwarves, basically. And they're just and all you can think is how these dwarves are like total wusses, like they're total like they're total like shadows of their former selves or whatever. And he's like, what is this? They're eating gold and they have like goldy tattoos and stuff. He's like, this doesn't make any sense. And through his eyes, I really enjoyed being able to transition into that Age of Sigmar lore, right? Through his eyes, right? And that sort of was like my first like understanding of, okay, so this is sort of like what is going on in the realms or whatever as well. So, and that was really, really cool. And then And then I started listening to a lot of the Lore Master videos from Warhammer Plus, and they did one on Techless, they did one on Nagash, they just released one on Marathi, so I can't wait to listen to that as well. And that has really helped. And then some on like what the Realm Stone is and stuff, like the actual things that they fight over, like all these powerful like elements basically that a lot of the wars are fought over. And so I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but it's definitely a lot better than it was, in my opinion. I feel like they fleshed it out quite a bit.
No, for sure. I think they they made a lot of errors in judgment, I think, when Age of Sigmar. Whenever I've talked about this in the past, people have gone, Warhipster hates Age of Sigmar, even though he says he loves it. No. I think what happened at I think moving to Age of Sigmar was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I think fantasy had pretty much run its course. And even from a business perspective, right? Like, no one was buying it. That was the thing, is why they decided. They were like, no one's buying this. And I think they made the right choice to, especially when you look at how making models has progressed, like the designs of the miniatures that they make now.
Yeah.
You look at where it's at now. If anyone can convince me that, Kragnos would fit into the Warhammer Fantasy range, I will give that person a shiny doubloon, because it wouldn't work, right? Like, even if you tried to put something like like the brand new Be'lakor, the old Be'lakor fits with all of that old stuff, the way all of those dimensions. If you try and put the new Be'lakor into a Warhammer Fantasy game, it would look weird.
He's just so big, right? Like, he's just massive and just like a little bit too big for his breeches almost.
Yeah. So I think they made the right decision moving into doing Age of Sigmar 100%. Where I think they kind of made some mistakes, and they didn't make the same mistakes again when they went into 8th edition, was they didn't launch with any points, obviously. So there was no way for people to do kind of pick up matched play games that weren't going to be weird. Like, one of the suggestions was, why don't you do it based on wounds? And it's like, well, that's fine. But if we try to do that now, if I said, hey, do you guys want a game of Age of Sigmar? It's 100 wounds each. Some people might bring 100 plague bearers. Other people might bring 25 dragons. So, do you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't quite work that way. So I think like the decision to not kind of, or maybe just the kind of slight misstep in terms of the way they introduced the story, just didn't quite work, because there was. I look at it as someone who came to Age of Sigmar about a year or two. I kind of came into it when General's Handbook 1 came out. So I was like, oh, I'm really excited for this. But I know that there was all those Realm Gate Wars campaign books that then got turned into novels. But at that point, like, why do you care?
Yeah.
As it were?
Yeah.
Because you've played the campaign book, theoretically, or you've not played the campaign book because you didn't care about what happened in Age of Sigmar. But, like, there's loads of cool stuff in the Realm Gate Wars, but what they're trying to do with the Realm Gate Wars is introduce you to Stormcast Eternals and how they work. And if you don't give a fig about Stormcast Eternals, or you've heard from somebody on the internet that they're just Space Marines, which they're not, but if you've heard that from whatever, then you're not gonna really care when someone says you should read the Realm Gate Wars. Why? Because there's this really cool thing with there's a really cool set of stories about the Hallowed Knights. Who are they? Stormcast. Yeah, Sigmarines. And it's like, bet out. But
is that like a pet peeve of yours when people just call Sigmarines?
It does annoy me a little bit, yeah. I get why people do it. Like, it's just like, but I get the same thing with any of the same joke that I've heard 4,000 times. So like
Magnus did everything wrong, or like if you're playing
Uh-huh.
Magnus did everything wrong, or if you're playing Dark Angels, just being like it's another Chaos Army, that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. I have a Dark Angels army that I took to an event. Every single person I went, I'm playing Chaos. And I went, I'm never bringing this to an event again. Because you might think it's funny. I don't think it's
funny. It's so funny.
It is funny.
I think it's funny the first time. And then after a while, you're like, guys, seriously. Like, come on. It's bullying at a certain point, right? But, like, it is what it is. It's just like with the Sigmarines thing. I get a bit sensitive about all things Age of Sigmar because a lot of people come at it from I won't even try it,
right,
type thing. And I think there's a difference between something like the Dark Angels Chaos joke, which is almost at this point it's a term of endearment, right?
Yeah, you do it more because it's like it's just so much part of the psyche of the game itself, right?
Yeah, like hating Tau.
Like hating Tau.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All of that stuff. It's kind of a term of endearment at this point. Whereas with Stormcast Eternals, it is often used to denigrate Stormcast Eternals. You call them Sigmarines because you're saying that they're just Sigmar Space Marines, which even I think it was Aaron Dembski Bowden did a post about it. Just went, here's how they are completely different. Stop it. And it's it's like, okay, fair enough. Like it's.
But
just
I mean,
like,
when people say that though, it's just like their ignorance is showing, right? They haven't even bothered to look into even the tiniest little bit of the story. Yeah, I don't know. When people make like denigrating comments or whatever, I'm just like, yeah, but that says more about you than anything else, homie. You know?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
A great example of this was I was having a chat with a friend of mine who is very anti Age of Sigmar. He refers to. Can we swear on this podcast?
As long as it's yeah, you can. You can modify the swears. We're not really calling anyone a bellend or something.
No. So he says he calls Age of Sigmar Age of Shitmar, and he does it just to annoy me.
Aww.
And I'm like, okay, cool,
Bad
man.
friend. Bad friend.
Yeah, right. If he watches this, he'll be like, "Oh no!" But he does.
People who do things just to annoy you are bad friends.
So Tanya lives in Vancouver. So that's not true. You see,
No,
I do
it's not
things
true.
to annoy Tanya. Anyway, Age of Shitmar. Continue.
Yeah. So he does that to annoy me, and then a long time ago we got into a deep conversation about it because I was like, "Listen, man, like you've not given it any chance, right?" And he's like, "Well, I don't need to because it's blah 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 blah." I saw a man. I saw a man burn his dark elves on YouTube, and that's all I need to know about the game. I said, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what, like 4 years ago or something when the game first released, and I'm pretty sure that person is kicking themselves in the butt for doing that.
Oh, absolutely. But we were having a conversation, and I was like, "Look, I'm going to describe something to you, and I just want you to sit and listen to it." And he's like, "Okay, cool." So I described basically the entire plot of Wardens of the Everqueen, which is one of the audiobooks from the Realm Gate Wars era about the Hallowed Knights and Loris Grimm and all that kind of thing. And I described it in terms that was kind of more about more about the kind of awesome stuff that happens, and didn't describe it based on everybody's name and where it was and Age of Sigmar, this, that, and the other. And he went, "Oh, that sounds really, really cool. What is it?" And I went, "That's Age of Sigmar." And he was like, "No, it can't be." I was like, "No, it is. Listen to this book. Like, if this doesn't get you, at least a little bit like hobby horny, then just, you're clearly dead inside." Because it's cool, man. And he did acquiesce that it was cool. And we had another conversation a little while ago where I said, "Listen to Plague Garden and try and tell me that that's not one of the best books ever written by Black Library." And he listened to it and he went, "Do you know what? Listening to Plague Garden, I think I learned more in that about the realm of chaos and Grandfather's Garden and Nurgle than I have from anything else. So from that perspective, I can just take that and apply that to 40k if I want to." I was like, "Yeah, you absolutely could, because it is talking about Grandfather's Garden, right? Presumably the same thing. But like, you learn more about that from that than you did from 55 books in the Horus Heresy." So like, I was like, you just gotta be open to new experiences, guys. Like, that's it. Like, that's the thing.
I find that I don't have as much time to read as I used to, so when I hobby, I binge watch 2+ Tough's lore videos, and they're like nice, like bite size, very concise in what they tell you. He gives you a little snippet of of lore, and it's just really digestible for me, but it makes me definitely want to pick up some novels.
His content is fantastic. I love 2+ stuff.
He looks like a teddy bear. Like, he just looks like he gives good hugs,
I'm sure he does.
Probably does. So I've been really, really enjoying that. But I did get like a small novella called The Gates of Azir, and I think it's like the very, very first like Stormcast book ever. And I've only read about half of it, but I got like I think 10 pages in, and I was like, this is grim AF. Like, this is so metal.
Yeah. That is the first one. That's when the gates
Yeah.
finally open, and you
Yeah.
follow those two, and then I can't remember what tribe they are, but they're just running away aren't they, from the Bloodbound, and then that one liberator turns up, and it's like, oh my goodness, and no one knows what he does, and he just pastes those corn warriors, and it's like, oh dear, this guy's serious.
I was like, this is badass.
Yeah, I've been because I love old and Nagash stuff, right? So ever since like the old world, like, well, not Nagash, like Cetra, but then Nagash killed Cetra, so I guess now I have to just like follow more about Nagash. So
your allegiance must change.
Yeah, well, Nagash never kneels, you know what I mean? But then he just got murdered, so sure. So that means like this. He's like, okay, Cetra's like one of my favorite characters. Do you play Warhammer Total War at all?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I literally just play hours and hours and hours of playing Tomb Kings. That's literally what I do. I just play Tomb Kings. Why? Because I miss my Tomb Kings. And even though they're not like the best army in like Total War or whatever, they're like so much fun. And I just love having all my hordes of skeletons and like my Ushapti and all this stuff that I miss so much. Anyway, I forgot what my point was.
Was it just to tell us that Cetra is a hero? Because Cetra is an absolute hero.
Cetra is a boss, okay? Cetra is a boss. But when it comes to the lore, I think following the Cetra story has been really interesting. Like, him and like Teclis were allies for a bit, and then like, Teclis decided to like trap him under a mountain or something, and like Teclis basically like destroyed Nagash's books that he has and stuff, and like the Skaven were involved, like, and that's why it was possible to like actually kill Nagash, or like at least kill his corporeal form, because the Skaven messed up his ritual in the old world when he was like being resurrected. There's some really cool depths in stories that you can kind of go into when you're following.
The Skaven drained an ocean.
Skaven are weird, okay?
Drained an ocean by accident.
By accident? Nah,
by accident.
Oh boy. I leave it to the Skaven to just mess everything up, okay? Skaven
Hey, they're the only reason why... Yes, they're the only reason why Nagash's plans didn't go to plan, essentially.
Yeah.
I really
chewed their way into his giant upside-down pyramid.
I really liked that in the, like you were mentioning the Warhammer Plus thing about Nagash, about how he is always fated for all of his grand plans to be disrupted by the Skaven because he cannot change. Which is just, I was like, yeah, because the Skaven do turn up in most of his things and just go, haha, we've broken it again, lol. And Nagash is always like, I won't be fooled next time. Oh, I've been fooled yet again. I loved that. I thought that was awesome. Because they messed with his end times nonsense as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is just great.
Yeah.
The Skaven.
Skaven are like the bane of my existence. And I recently got murdered by a bunch of Skaven on a battle report, and it has scarred me for life.
Isn't that only going to get worse with their new book coming out?
I don't know. All I know is that I have never lost a game of Age of Sigmar so badly. It was like the first time that's ever happened to me, and I was like, this is weird. Like in Age of Sigmar, I was like, I'm getting absolutely murdered. Silly Skaven.
If I was going to start a Chaos army, I think it'd have to be Skaven.
Are they chaos technically?
They are.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, they
Interesting.
are. Yeah.
I would have thought they were like destruction or something, but I guess not.
No, they joined. So the Great Horned Rat joined the Chaos Pantheon when Slanesh was kidnapped by the elves. So there was a gap in the four. So the Great Horned Rat went, I'll be the fourth. And the others were like, you're not really chaos. And he went, well, I am now. Haha, sucks to be you. But yeah, it's a cool little development that's happened. So when Slanesh finally breaks free of its bonds between the realms, that's going to be interesting to see what happens to the Skaven, because, you know, they are swanning around right now thinking they're part of the four, but they're definitely not.
Now, something that I will say is I love how fluid the 40k, the Age of Sigmar lore is. Like, it seems to be constantly on, like, changing and developing over time. Or is that just me? Like, it's like a living rule set, almost. Like a living lore set.
No, for sure. For sure it is.
It's that way by design, though.
Yes. Yeah, no, I know. It is, but it's really cool. Like, I love that it's not, like, you know, stuck at... They've kind of done that with 40k a little bit now, too. But, I mean, it's not stuck at that, like, you know, 1 second to midnight sort of thing. It's like, there's, like, actual movement, you know? And I think that's kind of cool.
That's where I've got frustrated with 40k in recent times, is that if we compare the two most recent campaign series is in Broken Realms for Age of Sigmar, you had the return of the God of Earthquakes, you had the magical cloud that now sits above all of the realms, that now means the Stormcaster in serious danger and can't be taken back to Azir every single time. Marathi became a god and severed all bonds of fellowship with Sigmar. So now on the tabletop, you cannot ally Daughters of Cain and Stormcast Eternals anymore. Teclis ended the Necroquake. Nagash got turned into dust and is now brooding somewhere and is probably going to is going to wait 2 editions before he does another thing. Himself,
rats.
Yeah, literally. Loads of stuff happened in the Broken Realm series, whereas Psychic Awakening, what happened?
They gave us a Strife supplement.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they were saying Psychic Awakening was going to have huge impact on 40k, and it was like, there's more psychic people around, but not on the table. And everyone gets a new model. And it's like, the one I will always point to is, again, I go back to Blood Angels. If Psychic Awakening was really going to change up what was happening in the Warhammer 40,000 storyline, why is it that the Blood Angels have been fighting the Tyranids in the Red Scar for the past 3 editions? So it's like, and that is one, I think, problem that 40k has a little bit, and I've talked about this before, but in that it has effectively crashed up against the barriers of its own narrative. So now it's like, have you guys seen the Hunger Games?
Yeah.
No.
You know. All right, Skari, you know the second one with the poison fog? I don't know how well you remember it.
I don't remember it that well.
There's just this scene, for anybody who's watching, there's this scene where this poison fog comes across the arena, and then it crashes up against a force field, and then it envelops in on itself, and then it dissipates, right? That's kind of how I feel 40k's narrative has happened at this point, is that it's kind of gone as far as it can. So now it's just on this slow decline towards the end, but like, all we seem to get is Cadia blew up, so we're going to do Vigilus instead. That's the same thing. like this planet blew up, but now they're fighting the same battle over on this planet. This one's gone, but this person was defeated. This person nearly killed that person, but then his ship got blown up, so he's gonna leave, and he's fine. They're all fine now, by the way. It's just a lot of kind of, there's a draw happening here, there's a draw happening there, there's this thing happening there. It's like, and I get it, right? Like, you know, the Warzone Caradron thing with Be'lakor stealing Colossi. Great, that's a big deal. Does that mean we can no longer play as House Raven? No, you still can. They're still out there. Right, so House Raven wasn't destroyed. No, but its planet was. Yes.
I feel like maybe things aren't progressing because it's like the flagship, right? Like maybe GW is a little bit scared to move the story along in case they ruin it.
No, I'd say that's probably.
I'd say that's not far from the truth. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like 40K is definitely that flagship, and you can tell that, you know, AOS, they couldn't really mess up more than how they did with the release of the game.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anything they could do that would be worse than that. So I feel like that team must have a lot more of a creative license to sort of do more things, because they can't fuck it up, right? In that sense, like, you know, like, it's like, make a fun and good game, and I feel like that's like the prerogative that the Age of Sigmar like crew must be working with. Whereas with 40K, it's sell more bottles, keep the ship afloat, you know, that sort of thing.
No, for sure. No, for sure. And you're right. It does outsell Age of Sigmar by quite a significant way. And you know, you wouldn't want to. You couldn't do. It would be a huge risk on their part to blow up the 40K universe and start again like they did with Age of Sigmar.
Oh my god! Can you imagine the nerd rage?
Oh, it would be
awful.
You could taste it. Like, it would be that palpable. But yeah, I mean, like, I think there's things you could do. Like, you know, people always worry about something happening like the Age of the Emperor, but like, what's wrong with that? You know, what's wrong with him waking up and it just being like, cool, it's the tide is turning, it's going to be different now, and it's like, cool, big stuff has happened. You know.
Yeah, that'd be, you know, I feel like once they kind of introduced the Primarchs and stuff, like they did go with a big, you know, like with the Fracture Bieltan and things like that. Like they did sort of like, I could see that they were having some of that inspirational movement of story that we were seeing in Age of Sigmar. But it's definitely, then they kind of went into, let's just give you too many rules. And I feel like that bloat is real in 40K. You know, in Age of Sigmar, they're getting there a little bit with like, okay, there's like this White Dwarf release or that White Dwarf release, and you do have to kind of keep track of it, but there's nowhere near as much to keep track of as in 40K. That is a fact.
Yeah, I think if you want a direct comparison of something that I think was better done is the campaign book that came out for AOS, the War in Thondia book.
Yeah.
That gave everyone something because it gave the game a rule set. Whereas the Warzone books in 40K have caused a lot of problems because it's been a case of, you know, Skitari cohort, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think they did a better job with War in Thondia because it was just like, yeah, so everyone can use this. The only people who miss out on something from that book are Nighthaunt because they don't have a monster.
Right.
That's it. Every other faction got something, can get something out of that book, which I think was just really positive.
Yeah.
So, you know, like,
does Nagash not have the monster keyword?
He does.
He does, but he's not in the Nighthaunt book, is he? You'd have to run it as Legions of Nagash, or is
no,
he
he's
in the Nighthaunt
book?
book?
He's in the new one. Yep.
Is he? Oh well, there you go. There you go. I was wrong. But like that, but that's right. That's it, right? So in order to take advantage of that, you have to take Nagash.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Fire Slayers can take advantage of it by taking magma drops rather than having to take
Oh,
Cromdis.
1,000-point unit or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like something that I do think is really cool in terms of design. I've really enjoyed the realm stuff. You know, being able to be like, hey, this is a realm of beasts or whatever, and then having a whole bunch of stuff in beasts, and they've sort of previewed that the next one's going to be more about like line infantry, you know, and that with like the veterans of the line infantry and like more about battle line units and stuff, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Just
which
to
is
think
great,
about.
right?
Yeah.
Because it makes you think, like, oh, I've no idea what any of that means, but like, if that means that when the next book comes out and it goes, hey, taking battle line is a great idea, that's not, hey, Daughters of Cain, you get this really cool War Scroll battalion.
Yeah.
It's hey, everybody, all of your battle line get to do this, and everybody has battle line, you know.
Yeah.
Can I just take this moment to complain that none of the numbers in these instructions correspond with the correct number on the sprue?
Do they not?
No.
Some of their instructions are quite bad. You must have gotten
Yeah.
one of the old boxes then. One of the original, like, we messed up everything boxes.
It's so bad. I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is 14, not 8. But, like, I'm trying to match it up to the thing. And I'm also that person that hates assembling, so this is real fun.
I hate assembling too.
Ah, hatred buddies.
It's my least favorite. Well, I always say that there's my least favorite parts of doing the hobby are building, priming, and basing.
I actually enjoy
Love
priming.
painting.
Priming is fun for me because I feel like, with the just put paint on it mentality, it's a lot easier to start painting stuff once it's primed. So like I feel like priming is like a big part of my paint process. Because I'm like, okay, it's primed now, so I can start painting it whenever I feel like I would like to start painting this. I don't know.
I'm spoiled. My husband primes everything for me. But he stopped assembling things for me. I have to assemble my own shit now. So, sad.
So
sad panda.
This is what I was saying earlier about. I think it would be successful. The channel will be successful once I get to hire someone. If anybody out there wants a job of when I finally can pay you to prime my models and build my models and base my models for me, that's the job that I'm going to have available, because that would just make my life so much easier.
Amazing.
So much easier.
Yeah. I was like the spoiled hobby wife for a while. I used to build my models. He would prime them for me. Not anymore. I mean, he still primes though.
Xanthiades posted a fantastic story here, a little anecdote.
I know. I read it already.
An old friend of mine contacted me recently asking if I wanted to get in on their new business selling Tomb King models. Seemed tempting, but I think it's a pyramid scheme. I made me laugh. Thank you. Congratulations on 1,000 videos. Yeah, Kainak says. That's right, Kainak. I know, thank you so much. 1,000 videos on YouTube. Technically, I guess more, because some of them are, like, unlisted or whatever. But, like, this is the 1,000th public video. So thank you very much. Right now, I'm currently working on... I'm going to do, I think, a 1,000th video giveaway thing. What should I give away? A box set of Cursed City? Or should I give away the Thondia set? Or what should I do? Games Workshop sends me lots of stuff, and I like giving it away to people. They send me a lot of things for free. So
I think like giving away the Thondia thing would be cool because it's still pretty like relevant and.
So it's Cursed City. That's like hard to find or whatever.
Cursed City is really cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's still cool, like, next week.
Okay, fine, fair enough. It is. I guess Cursed City's, like, got that, like, stamp of it's never going to go out of style. The nerd rage of a rebooting the 40k setting would be delicious, says Xanthiades. And then No Name says, good show yesterday. Did I miss anything good this morning? 100%. You have missed over an hour of good show. which means you're going to have to go back and rewatch it. Just saying.
You can make it up by liking this video.
Hey, there you go. Liking, sharing, subscribing, checking out the cool links down below. Oh, this cat. This is the first time this cat's come to lie down on my lap and just fallen asleep.
Aww.
Named Shadow. You probably saw the little kitty earlier in the stream. He just wanted love, and now he's just like limp, completely limp on my leg. He's like flopped, like totally flopped, like out cold.
Aww.
It's adorable.
Oh, kitty.
Very, very cute.
Very happy cat.
Very, very happy cat. I'm really enjoying painting the skin on these grotesques, or what I will be using as grotesques. It is really fun. And I love doing that whole, like, very cartoonish, like, high contrast blending, you know, like layering.
Yeah.
Like, it's a style that works for me. You know?
It's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm doing something I haven't done for a while, which is paint a model for me.
Nice.
I'm painting a shield captain.
Ooh. Custodes.
Yes. So my stream were very, very, very generous a few weeks ago. Maybe it was a couple of months now. Time is a construct. Where, you know, we were hanging out and I was talking about how you know, I had a Custodes army. I was really happy with it when I did it at the time, but I then became a much better painter over the next 3 years, so I wanted to redo it. And then your friend and mine, Hellstorm Mikey, got in touch and said, "Don't strip them, just send them to me and I'll send you some new ones and you can basically start fully again." And I was like, "That's very kind of you. Let's do it." So that happened. And then I was like, "This is what I've got. It's really cool." And then everyone was like, "That is cool, but you need more stuff. So here's a load of money." So they gave me a lot of money to buy more Custodes stuff.
Nice.
And it was incredibly overwhelming. And it made me cry live on stream.
Aww.
Because I was like, "Oh my God, everybody's beautiful and wonderful. And the generosity of this hobby continues to astound me." And this, that, and the other. And so this is going to be an ongoing project, but I've been painting one thing a month on the Custodes, and I'm very nearly at the point where I can start painting all of those lovely, gorgeous things that they brought me.
Amazing.
And I'm talking like all the Forge World stuff, because they were like, "What's going to be in your Custodes army?" And I was like, "It's all going to be plastic." And they were like, "No, you scrub. Parry this, you casual. Have a Telemon." And I was like, "Oh, well, there we go. I guess I'm getting a Telemon." And then it was like, "No, let's get you a thingy as well. What's it called? A Caladius." And I was like, "Stop it, guys!" And you know, they didn't stop it.
That's awesome.
That's so sweet.
The tabletop community is honestly incredible.
Yeah.
100%. You know, considering that I literally could not do what I do without everybody, you know, and that you can do what you do without everybody, and so many people out there that would literally not be able to do what they do without everybody out there who enjoys it and loves the entertainment and is willing to support and to, you know, like, help grow and be there for us as content creators. You know, it's just, it is overwhelming. It definitely 100% is, and that is an awesome story.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Like, you know, like it doesn't. I think if you told me, like, 15 years ago, you know, your job is going to be to make videos about painting Warhammer with something called contrast paint, I'd be like, "All right, so I'm going to be working for Games Workshop." And they would go, no, you're going to be doing it by yourself at home." And I would be like, "Nah, you're lying. That's not a thing. People can't do that. Get out of town." But then, you know, I'm over 30, so 15 years ago, I didn't know what the internet was. So
correct. And now we've all learned.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. Which is awesome. Now, you've just started a new Sunday podcast, is that right?
Yeah, it's a Sunday stream that we do on YouTube, um, which is with myself and a friend of mine, Adam, ADR Wargaming, for those who know, and those who don't know, go and check him out. Where we're just kind of gonna do whatever, whatever happened that week. If we can think of a thing that happens, that'll be something that we do. So we've covered things in the past of, like the balanced data slate, for example, stuff like that. It's just an opportunity for me to do some painting whilst Adam can tell me about rules, because I don't keep up with rules, and I rely on other people to tell me what the hell's going on.
I also use a podcast to keep up with 40k rules now because I am just like on this Age of Sigmar kick. But my podcast bros, like podcasting with Forge the Narrative, is like my favorite. It's one of my favorite activities that I do because I just get to like hang out with my bros and be sassy, and they just like accept me for all my weirdness. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy podcasting.
Podcasting is great fun. I mean, I do another podcast called Codex and Coffee,
Mm-hmm.
with a friend of mine, Rachel, the Warhammer girl, on Instagram. You can go and find her, where she is quite new to Warhammer in general, and she wants to learn about all the codexes, and I'm quite old when it comes to Warhammer. So I was like, well, I can tell you about codexes, and she was like, well, let's make this into some content. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then she came up with this thing where I think she was sat at home and she took a picture of herself reading a codex whilst having a coffee, and went, this would be a great name for a podcast, right? And I think a bunch of people went back to her on Instagram and went, yeah, that'd be great, do it. So we now do that, where we cover the codexes in 2 episodes, where I'm essentially there to go, well, when I first started in the hobby, the Space Marines did this type of thing. And then we have a special guest that comes on and talks about their particular expertise. And so far, we've done the 2 most important codexes, Necrons and Space Marines.
Very important codexes, for sure.
Her
Space Marines,
Necrons are beautiful.
aren't they just, right?
They're
And
so
and
nice.
as a consequence, and I suspected this might happen, but as a consequence of doing Codex Space Marine, she went out and bought Chaplain Grimaldus and now wants to do a Space Marine army.
Excellent.
So
Not just
Amazing.
any Space Marine army, the right proper Black Templars.
exactly.
Oh God.
Correct.
So I'm a little bit worried for her, because if that happens after every single podcast that we do, then
She's getting broke.
she's going to be broke. But she'll have a ridiculous Warhammer collection, which is all we can ever ask for at the end of the day, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing, right? It happens all the time. New battle tome comes out, new battle box comes out. I mean,
Yeah.
Echoes of Doom is coming with Sylvaneth and Skaven. Now, for those of you who know what I did a 24-hour stream a little while ago where I painted 2,000 points of Sylvaneth in one sitting before that box came out, and I was mad because when it was announced, I was like, God damn it! I'm going to have to do it
Now I'm gonna have to
again!
do it again.
No Name says, would you do a show on content creation, like tips, tricks on how you and your guests got into it? Yeah, 100%. We kind of cover a bunch of stuff over the course of just put paint on it. Definitely. I don't know if that's a question for like any and or all of us. However, I'll answer first, then we'll go around the panel here. But over the course of 3 years of doing just put paint on it, we've definitely talked with lots of content creators on how they got started in the hobby and how they basically got involved in doing things. Would you do a show on that, Tanya?
like a Be Nice Roll Dice.
Yeah, like on content creation, like how people got started, etc., etc. Specifically, content creation.
I mean, I could. Yeah, I probably could.
And how about
It's I don't feel like I have the expertise on it, so I'd probably have to ask like Dave or somebody to come on and talk to me about it.
Yeah. I guess as content creators, we have some expertise in the sense that we are doing content creation. Now, the thing about content creation, it's as varied as, like, painting a miniature. Every single person who is in content creation has a different process, right? And so if you want to get into content creation, you sort of have to fall in love with your process and like follow your gut almost in terms of creating stuff that you want to create.
I would suggest, like, if you want to make content, just go and do it.
Yeah.
But I would try to keep in mind, like, what is it that you do that is different than what everybody else does?
Like paint entire armies with contrast paint and do it properly and make it look really cool.
Like, what's your thing, right? Because I think some people just try to copy what's already out there, and then they're like, they kind of wonder why it doesn't take off, right? Whereas if you start making content with like a really clear idea of what it is that makes you special, then I think it's a lot easier to sort of like find your audience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've thought about making that video in the past, of just like how to get into doing this. And I think where I always run into, and I don't know about you guys thinking about it, but like where I always run into a barrier is I look back at all the advice and it kind of feels like, you know, it kind of feels like there's no definitive answer. Or like there's no, like I can give tips on like gear that you could buy depending on what you want to make, and I could give tips on, you know, ways to do stuff cheaply and this, that, and the other. But like ultimately, one of the things with content creation is you've got to really like the idea of making content, and then one of the things I always end up writing is you just got to set a very clear, to you, you don't have to share it with anybody, but you've got to set a very clear kind of mission statement almost when you start of what am I doing and why am I doing it? Because I think if you're not entirely honest with yourself about why you want to make content, you can get all kinds of burnt out and sad and depressed and da when you end up not doing the thing that you think that you didn't want to do, if that makes any sense at all. So if it's like, I want to make content because I want people to take me seriously, like genuinely, like you can be as arrogant as you want with that mission statement. You can be like, I want to make content because I want to be considered one of the best, most knowledgeable Warhammer 40,000 players in the world.
Yeah.
And that becomes your goal that you're trying to get to, so then it kind of helps slot everything into place backwards. Like, what type of thing are you going to make? Why are you going to make it? How are you going to make it? Like, it makes sense, right? Whereas if you kind of start out with a goal of, I'd like to make content so that like the content can pay for my Warhammer hobby, that's fine. But then if you don't achieve that for a while, you'll feel like you're doing a lot of work to not succeed in a goal, as it were. And that and that's where a lot of channels, I think, run into, I wasn't honest about what with myself. Like I said, you don't have to share this with anybody, but I wasn't honest with myself about what I wanted from this. And as a consequence of that, I have failed. But you haven't failed, but you failed at the goal that you weren't honest about in the first place. Which is it sounds like I'm being like really mean whenever I say this kind of thing, but it's like, you know, when I started my channel, I was very clear that I wanted to make videos that showed that contrast paint wasn't a bag of shit.
Out of spite.
Out of spite, right. Yeah, because a lot of people were putting videos out about how contrast paint is the worst thing ever made, and it's like, no, it's not. Stop it. because it's part of the whole. If I say something mean about Games Workshop, I'll get views type thing, and I think that's where it's a complete tangential point, but some people have found a lot of success doing that, saying Games Workshop is failing as a business, making a video about that and reaching for something. And they've started doing, if you always, often when you look at those channels, if you scroll back through, there's a bunch of videos there that are like, this is awesome. And that's not getting them somewhere. And they want to get somewhere. So they realize that being horrid,
complain the whole time.
If you complain a lot, you get somewhere. And that's them going,
how long could you really sustain that, though? Like, how long could you really sustain that level of Well, I mean, I guess there's channels.
There's like entire channels that but you rotate it. Like, there's always something you can find to like be very opinionated about that then will have other people go, I agree with you, or people go, I disagree with you. But then like that's kind of the whole point, because then the algorithm picks it up and then it spits it out and more people watch it and stuff, and then you sort of like create that visceral sort of like. You can, like, as long as like, videos that are very polarizing just do well on YouTube, because being polarizing, people react very negatively, very positively to what you put out. And a lot of the times people have more to say about someone being negative or saying something negative than something positive. Because a lot of people who agree on something positive will be like, yeah, I agree with that. And they might not leave a comment. They'll be like, yeah, that was a nice video. I would appreciate it, whatever. They might click the like button, whatever, move on. It's the same with a restaurant or going out. You're more likely to get bad reviews than good reviews. Why? Because somebody who had a bad experience at a restaurant wants to tell everyone in the world they had a bad experience, right? Whereas if you go and have a decent experience, someone is less likely to be like, hey, this was a good meal, I enjoyed it, it was fun, like, or take the time to like put that online. Same thing with like content creation, I find.
Yeah, and then you go and read those people's channels, or those blogs or whatever, and if you go and look in the About Me section, it's often the thing that people forget to update. Because the About Me section will say something like, I love Games Workshop and all games of Warhammer. But their content has changed to a crusade to try and whatever they're trying to do. Well, they're trying to grow, right?
Yeah.
So the whole, those people, when they started their channel, wanted to make videos because they wanted to be, I don't know, let's say you get somebody who's a paint. Let's take me as a use case, right? Yeah. I'm somebody who paints models with contrast plus paint, right? Contrast plus paint style. That's what I do. That's what I will continue to do, and I will do that forever. But if I suddenly started putting out GW Flame videos or complainathons or whatever like that,
complainathons, I like it.
Yeah.
That's a good, accurate representation of that style of video for sure.
Yeah. If I suddenly started putting those out, that I'm doing that because I want growth. That's not me. That's not me doing that because
you genuinely want that stuff.
Yeah.
I really think if you're going to get into content creation, you really have to know what your core values are, and you always have to be moving towards those core values, because as soon as you move away from it, that's when you're not going to want to make that content anymore. It's not going to like speak to you. You're not going to like your own content. You really have to like what you're putting out. And yeah, I'm so glad that my therapist made me do like a values inventory, because now it's like I know what my core values are, and it's really easy to always sort of be moving towards them. And when you get stuck in life, you can be like, okay, I'm not really too sure what to do, so I'm going to revisit my values and make a decision that moves me more towards those. So it's a really good idea to sort of know what you're all about before you get started.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. And I think that's 90% of becoming a content creator. Genuinely, like, and the difference between, I mean, like, like I said, there is nothing wrong with whatever goal you set yourself. If the reason you want to make content is because you want 1 million subscribers,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That is okay, and that's okay to say to yourself. In fact, that's okay to say publicly if you want. Like everything is, you could go, "Hello, everybody. My name is insert blah blah blah, and I'm creating a YouTube channel because I want to be famous." Actually, that would be incredibly refreshing.
It would
right?
be. Yeah.
But like that's okay. You can do
Yep.
that. There's nothing wrong with that as a goal. You've just got to know that that's your goal.
Yeah.
Because if you don't hit 1 million subscribers, then you know why you're upset. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know why you're upset, it's because you don't know what your goal is. And I know that I have been through that. Since becoming full time, the game has changed. My goal is to pay the rent. So when I make a video that I think people are going to like, and it doesn't get many watches, I get sad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's okay. That is
Yeah.
okay. And I'm aware of why, because I've made a video that I thought might make me $5, but it doesn't.
I just want to take a second to acknowledge Luna Lycanrock.
Yep. Hey, Luna.
They say that they lost their new skateboard recently. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's a
Aw.
Got really depressed because my birthday was coming up. Wanted to buy so many things. One of my friends got me a Wraith Knight, and I was so grateful. Here's to great
Nice.
friends. Aw, that's so sweet.
Amazing.
Wraith
Yeah.
Knight
Awesome.
for the win, 100%.
Mhm.
Which is really cool. Hello, Paul. How's it going? Well, we are coming to the end of the show, which is crazy. It's been an hour and a half. We've just been chatting away, just painting, just talking life things. I hope everybody's been enjoying the show so far. So before we finish up, why don't you tell us a little more about what you have coming down the pipeline, where folks can find you, and what people should get excited about, and how they can help you out.
Who, me?
Yes.
Well. This is that part where I then get uncomfortable because I have to sell myself. So, I mean, I've got loads of stuff coming up, hopefully on the channel. So, we've got things like a bunch of Warhammer Underworlds content, painting those kinds of miniatures. That stuff's going to be coming. We're going to be doing some Chaos Knights and stuff with contrast paint, which people might go, "You can't do that." Well, you can. For those of you who don't know, I've painted a Razorback. It's in this cabinet here with contrast paint, so you can do it on tanks. You can do it. Should you do it? But can you do it? Yes, you can. That's not the point. There's tons and tons of contrast paint content that's coming, but we've also got battle reports and various other hobby adjacent things coming, including some new product reviews of MDF terrain. I'm getting into that because I'm very excited to see if it works. I've always been skeptical about MDF terrain, but I actually think the tide has changed. And you can find all of that stuff at youtube.com/Warhipster, or you can come and talk to me at instagram.com/Warhipster. And if you really like what I'm doing, I am available on Patreon or YouTube members and have a Discord and all that kind of thing.
You have a link
access
tree?
to that. I do have a link tree.
Awesome. The link tree will be in the comments down below, so make sure you head on over and check out everything the Warhipster is doing so that you can keep up to date and support another awesome content creator.
I'll go and grab the link tree now so I don't forget. That is always what happens. But yeah, no, just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. And it's always, I've talked a little bit about, your attitude towards hobby and negativity. If you ever need a place that you just want to come and find some weird positivity, that's where come to my channel, because it's just always like, hey, everything's awesome.
Positivity is such a good part of the hobby, and I feel like it is a luxury almost sometimes. Finding people who are positive, in my opinion.
It is tough. It is hard to find sometimes because it is. It's a barren, featureless desert out there sometimes.
Yeah, number 4 will surprise you. But thanks a lot for coming on. It's been an absolute fabulous time. This has been great. Tanya, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? Where can folks find you before we wrap up for the day?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, where I sometimes go on rants. You can also find me on Forge the Narrative podcast, which, despite its name, is actually more of a competitive-focused podcast. And you can find me on YouTube, where I have a little talk show where I bring on really cool guests. Or if that's not your thing, I also make rules explained videos for Warhammer 40k. And if you like what I do, you can also support me on Patreon.
I love it. Sounds like a great time. Other than that, thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. It has been a fantastic chat. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always shoot me a message, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff that helps the channel grow. A huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom none of this would be possible. So thank you very much for your ongoing support over the last 3 years that I've been doing content. You're all amazing. Other than that, if you want to support me as well, support these amazing people. A rising tide raises all ships, as I like to say. So support all the people that you think are awesome. Other than that, I've been Skari, your grateful host. It's been Tanya, has been the Warhipster himself. Signing off until next time. And don't forget to hashtag just put paint on it. Or as we like to say in Español, píntalo. Bye, everybody.
Ciao!